All right, golf fans, welcome back to the deep dive.
It's March, and you know what that means, right? Courses are getting green, the birds are chirping, golf season is officially in full swing.
Yeah.
We asked you to send in some articles, and you guys came through with a fantastic batch, all from March 10th, 2025.
Very interesting stuff.
We're going to break them down together, get into the details, and uncover some really cool insights.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Big tournaments wrapping up, some absolutely incredible upsets, and we'll take a look ahead at what's coming next on the tour. So you ready to go deeper than a 300-yard drive?
Let's tee off.
Okay, gotta start with the Arnold Palmer Invitational on the PGA Tour. Wow, what a finish.
It was a real nail-biter, down to the wire.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Colin Morikawa. He was in control. Seems like he's going to cruise to victory.
I know.
But then Russell Henley, oh, man, that eagle on the 16th
That eagle,
completely changed the game.
like a whole different tournament after that. Flipped the script. Can you imagine the pressure on both of them in those final holes? Yeah, it was intense. But, you know, what's interesting is Henley, he seemed so calm. I mean, even after a couple of early bogeys, he didn't let it get to him.
Right.
And his putting, especially on those final holes, absolutely clutch.
Clutch is an understatement.
That kind of mental toughness, that's what makes a champion.
It really does. Now that you mention it, it did seem like Morikawa maybe had a little wobble on the back nine.
Yeah.
I think that bogey on the 14th really hurt him.
Yeah, just goes to show. 1 or 2 shots, that's all it takes to make the difference. But hey, that's golf for you, right?
That's what we love about it. Keeps us on the edge of our seats. Okay, let's talk about Karl Vilips at the Puerto Rico Open. 23 years old, barely a year into his professional career, and he gets his first PGA Tour win.
Incredible.
I mean, what a story.
What a story. His first PGA Tour win, and he just dominates. You look at that final round score of 65.
65.
An eagle and a bunch of birdies right out of the gate. This kid he is fearless.
Fearless is right. He's obviously super talented, seems to have ice water in his veins.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is this just the beginning for him?
He's definitely one to watch. I'm seeing a lot of people compare him to some of those other young guys that have been shaking things up lately.
Yeah, I can see it.
If he keeps playing at this level, keeps his head in the game, no reason why he can't be competing for major championships very soon.
Wow. So listeners, remember the name Karl Vilips? You heard it here first. All right, the excitement keeps on coming. Over on the DP World Tour, the Joburg Open, did you see this? Calum Hill, 8 shots behind going into the final round.
Yeah, incredible.
He shoots a 62 to force a playoff and then wins on the second extra hole. Are you kidding me?
Talk about never giving up. The mental toughness to pull off a comeback like that.
Unbelievable.
It's just amazing to be that far behind and not only catch up, but to win in a playoff.
Yeah.
That takes serious belief in yourself, focus, and the ability to perform under pressure. And I was reading one of the articles mentioned Kella's approach shots were just dialed in, consistently hitting greens, putting himself in a great position to score. It's impressive.
It really is. I mean, it makes you wonder what's going through their minds out there. You know, like in those moments when everything's on the line.
I know. I mean, how do you block everything else out? The noise, the doubts. It's incredible.
It is. All right, let's switch over to the LPGA Tour. Rio Takeda just dominated the Blue Bay LPGA. 17 under par. That's not just a win, that's a statement.
Yeah, domination is the right word. When you look at the stats, it wasn't just her putting, which was amazing.
Amazing.
Or her accuracy off the tee. She was consistent all week long, hitting fairways, hitting greens, giving herself so many chances.
Wow.
It was like a master class in how to control a golf course.
It really was. Minjee Lee and Ayaka Firu played great golf too, but Takeda, it was like she was playing a different game entirely.
I know. Like she found a cheat code or something. But really, when you see someone playing at that level, it's everything coming together perfectly. Talent, hard work, preparation, and, you know, that little something extra, that it factor.
The it factor, yeah. Okay, got to talk about the upcoming Players' Championship. TPC Sawgrass, one of the most famous courses in the world, hosting the biggest names in golf.
And there's one name in particular that has everyone buzzing.
Oh, don't leave me hanging. Come on, spill the beans.
Tiger Woods is back.
Tiger. Back at Sawgrass. I kind of had a feeling, but hearing it out loud still gives me chills.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, after all these years, his presence still electrifies the entire golf world. And TPC Sawgrass, that iconic 17th hole, the challenging layout, it's the perfect stage for his return.
I can already picture it now. Tiger lining up that putt, The crowd going silent, the tension.
The atmosphere is going to be incredible. And Tiger, he feeds off that energy, you know?
Oh, yeah?
He's a competitor through and through. I wouldn't be surprised to see him put on a real show.
I can't wait. This is going to be epic. But the Players' Championship is just the start. We've got the Valspar Championship coming up, too. It's known as the most colorful tournament on the PGA Tour, always visually stunning.
Yeah, it's beautiful. All those flowers at Innisbrook Resort during the tournament.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I didn't know that. That's a fun fact.
Yeah.
And then right around the corner, we've got the Texas Children's Houston Open.
PGA Tour keeping us busy.
Keeping us busy.
Yeah.
So much to look forward to. But, you know, there's a lot more going on in the golf world than just tournaments. Some pretty big developments happening that we need to talk about.
Definitely.
I'm talking about Phil Mickelson, right? He just finished third at the Livy Golf event in Hong Kong. Seems like he's found his groove over there.
He's playing some of his best golf in years. It's interesting because, you know, this is all happening right before the Masters.
Oh, right.
Everyone's wondering if this form he's in will carry over to Augusta. The Mickelson factor at the Masters, that's a whole other discussion.
I need to think about that one.
Yeah.
But first, we have to talk about this big news from the Australian Open.
Big changes.
They're splitting the men's and women's championships. This was big news in the golf world.
Yeah, it's a pretty big shakeup.
They used to run at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And now they're going their separate ways. What's the impact of this for the players, for the fans?
Good question. And we're going to unpack all of that. This has the potential to really change the landscape of professional golf in Australia, maybe even globally. But before we go there, let's take a quick break, and then we'll dive into all the nuances of this decision when we come back.
All right, we're back and ready to dig into this Australian Open situation. Splitting the men's and women's championships, that's a big decision. So what are the potential benefits here?
Well, I think one of the biggest arguments is that it allows each tournament, you know, the men's and women's, to really stand on its own.
Okay, yeah.
Possibly attract more sponsors, more media attention, which could lead to bigger prizes and more visibility for both sides.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Having separate events gives them more room to breathe, to really showcase what makes each tour unique, you know, the different personalities, the style of play.
Exactly. And you could even tailor each tournament to specific audiences, maybe attract some new fans to the game on both the men's and women's side. So imagine 2 weeks of world-class golf down in Australia.
Oh, wow.
Each week with a totally different vibe.
Okay, I'm starting to see the upside here.
Yeah.
But what about the downsides? Some of those articles mentioned concerns about, you know, maybe diluting the overall impact.
Right, you could lose some of that combined energy you get when they run together. I mean, there's a certain synergy when you have the best men and women competing at the same time on the same course.
It's like a 2-for-1 deal for fans. You get to see the top level of the sport, both the men's and women's game.
Right. And there's the tradition, too. You know, the Australian Open has a long history of showcasing both together, so some people feel like splitting them kind of weakens that legacy.
That makes sense. So it seems like a trade-off then. On the one hand, you have more exposure, more growth potential, but then you might lose some of that tradition and that combined appeal.
It's a tough call. There are definitely valid points on both sides. I think ultimately the success of this decision really comes down to how it's executed.
Yeah, time will tell, right?
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure, the world of golf, it never slows down. You know, you've got Phil Mickelson finding success on Live Golf, rising stars like Karl Vilips making a splash, and huge tournaments. The Players' Championship and the Masters are right around the corner.
It's an amazing time to be a golf fan. There's so much talent out there, so many different storylines to follow. It's exciting.
It really is. But with all these different tours, you've got the PGA Tour, the DP World Tour, the LPGA Tour, Live Golf. It makes you wonder, is this a good thing for the sport, or is it getting too fragmented, too confusing?
It's a good question, and I know a lot of people are debating that right now. Golfers, fans, everyone's got an opinion. And like anything, there are definitely pros and cons.
Okay, so let us break it down. What are some of the arguments in favor of this, you know, more fragmented landscape?
Well, I think the biggest thing is opportunity. For the players, it means more tournaments to play in, more chances to earn money, experience different courses, different playing styles.
And for the fans, it means more variety, more to watch, more chances to see their favorite players. It's like I don't know, a buffet of golf options.
Yeah, exactly. And it can lead to more innovation too. These different tours are trying new things, pushing the boundaries, trying to make things more interesting for both players and fans. Like, think about the shotgun starts in Live golf.
Yeah,
People have mixed feelings about them, but it definitely shook things up, got people talking.
I'll admit I was skeptical at first, but there is a certain excitement to it. It's unpredictable.
It is, and it keeps things moving, keeps the energy high throughout the whole round. But, let's look at the other side of the coin. What are some of the arguments against this fragmentation?
What are people worried about?
I think the main concern is that it dilutes the bigger picture, When you've got so many different things happening, it's hard to keep track of who's who, what's important, where it all fits in.
I know what you mean.
Mm.
It can feel overwhelming even for someone like me who follows it pretty closely. I can't imagine trying to explain it all to someone who's just getting into golf.
Exactly. It creates a barrier to entry, and you lose that shared history, that sense of collective excitement that you get when things are more unified.
And let's be real, there's some tension out there.
Mm.
Between the established tours and these newer ones, like LIV, it feels a bit like different groups fighting for power, and that's not necessarily a good thing in the long run.
No, it's not. You're absolutely right. It creates divisions, rivalries, and that can overshadow the game itself. So ultimately, whether you see this fragmentation as a good thing or a bad thing, it depends on what's important to you.
So what does all this mean for our listeners, the people out there trying to make sense of it all?
I think the main takeaway is that professional golf is going through a period of transition, a time of change. We're seeing innovation, we're seeing debate, and the sport is trying to figure out how to balance tradition with progress, unity with diversity, and the needs of both players and fans.
It's an interesting time to be following golf. All right, before we wrap things up, one final thought to leave everyone with. With all these different tours, so many talented players, and all these ways to experience the game, what does the future hold for pro golf? I mean, is there a way forward, a way to embrace all this innovation and still preserve the things that make this sport so special? The traditions, the values.
That's the big question, isn't it? I think it's going to take a lot of open discussion, some out-of-the-box thinking, maybe even a little bit of compromise from everyone.
Maybe it's not about finding one right answer, but about accepting that there are different ways of doing things and they can all work together, maybe even complement each other.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe the future of golf isn't about everyone doing things the same way. Maybe it's about embracing the variety, the different formats, the different tours, the different styles of play. You can have it all. Imagine fans could enjoy a classic major championship and then, a fast-paced team event and then something totally different, like a shotgun start, all part of the same, golf world.
Yeah, I like that vision. Something for everyone. Tradition and innovation working together, and at the end of the day, it's all about the love of the game.
That's it. And who knows, maybe this fragmentation will actually lead to a really exciting future for the sport. Bring in new fans, inspire the next generation of players, and just showcase, all the amazing things about golf.
I hope so. Okay, listeners, we want to hear from you. What do you think about the future of golf? Is this fragmentation a good thing, or is it taking the sport in the wrong direction? Head over to our website or social media. Let us know your thoughts. We always love hearing from you.
And remember, whatever happens, it's the joy of that perfect shot, the thrill of competing, and the friendships you make along the way that's the heart of golf.
Well said. That's all for this deep dive into the world of pro golf. Until next time, keep your swing smooth, your putts true, and most importantly, keep that passion for the game alive.